Welcome to our 42nd Saturday Online Kashmir Cultural Heritage Awareness Series. We have with us today Shri M.L. Raina, and the topic is Kheer, Bawani, Asthapan, Tikker, Kupwara. Let's begin with a prayer song by Srimati Shushma Kaul. Srimati Shushma Kaul is the daughter of proud and illustrious father Amar Shahid Sharwanand Kaul Premi, and is married to Dr. Vinod Trakru, presently living in exile in Jalandhar. Besides her master's, she has a degree in journalism too at her credit. She has written many articles published in Hindustan Times and Daily Excelsior. She loves her original Sharda Lipi and has been teaching Sharda script to so many learners and is still busy in doing so. Srimati Shushma ji was studying in 10th standard when the exodus began in 1990. We will now request Shushma Kaur to do the prayer. Thank you.
Namaskar. I am highly thankful to the organizing committee and Shri Ravi Shankarji for giving me an opportunity to be with you at this moment to recite a prayer which is Shiv Mantra. I pray to Almighty Mahadev to bestow upon all of us and our families a very happy, healthy, prosperous, peaceful, and successful life ahead. कर्पूरघौरं कर्णावतारं संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दी भवं भवानी साहितं नमामि. Om. Thanking you.
Thank you, Shushma ji. And I know that you're going to appear in our program as a speaker sometime soon. And thanks for joining us for the prayer song today. We'll look forward to seeing you again. Thank you. We thank Sri Kanchi Mutt for our ongoing series and offer our namaskarams to His Holiness Sri Shankar Vijayendra Saraswati Swamigal. We are very pleased to welcome and introduce Sri M.L. Raina ji. Sri Raina ji is a retired principal of a higher secondary school and holds MSc in Physics and MEd, and we once again welcome him to our program today on Kheer Bawani Temple. Please, Mr. Raina ji.
Namaskaram. First of all, I want to pay my Dandvat pranams to all the saints and the Gurus of Kanchi Petermath. Today, I have got the time to speak about Mata Kheer Bawani Asthapan Tikker. I feel very proud that this organization have given some time to me to speak about an ancient shrine, Kheer Bawani Asthapan Tikker. I am not any historian, nor I am any speaker, but whatever I faced in 1990, that provoked me to study about what our ancients have faced since this Asthapan, Kheer Bawani Asthapan Tikker, it was a religious center from ancient times, but after 1947, due to some Kabili raids, this ancient shrine was not given much importance which it has earlier. Now, speaking about this Asthapan, this Kheer Bawani present Kashmir, from which we belong to, present Kashmir, it was also called Kashyap Desh, it was also called Sati Desh. It was the Tapasya Sthal of rishis, munis, saints, and other scholars. You will find sacred places, sacred springs, sacred mountains, and sacred rivers in every nook and corner of this Kashmir Valley. This region from earlier times have been attracting the learners, scholars, and researchers. As Ma Sharda is goddess of knowledge, so this region was also called as Sharda Desh. From 6th to 12th century, there happened to be a famous learning centers of the world called Sharda Learning Center or Sharda University. Scholars and learners from all over the world use it to study and gain knowledge from this university. Our Granths, Vedas, and other religious books, or even official literature which was written in Sanskrit or Devanagari or Kashmiri, used to have a special script that was called Sharda script. Every year, degrees were awarded to learners and scholars on Gauri Tritya. Due to the beauty and hub of knowledge of this region has remained at the target of some invaders who succeeded in capturing this region in earlier 13th century. The invaders destroyed the institutions of knowledge and even banned the local Sharda script and introduced new script of writing. But having hunger of knowledge, the people of this region adopted the script introduced by the invaders also. Now, Kheer Bawani Asthapan Tikker has a deep relation with the ancient learning center, Sharda University, in Shardi village of district Muzaffarabad, now in POK. This Asthapan has served as the base camp for learners, scholars, and saints, as there were no means of transport, and being hilly region, the travelers have to reach Shardi village by foot. Village Tikker is a famous village of North Kashmir, about 90 kilometers from Srinagar and nearly 2 kilometers from district headquarters Kupwara on Kupwara Chokibal Road. According to revenue records of Kashmir, this village is famous due to a Hindu shrine named Kheer Bawani Asthapan, and its original name was Tikka. Tikka is a Kashmiri word which means to stop. It is believed that when Mata Shama, who was worshipped as Mata Durga and Mata Kali in Lanka, ordered Lord Hanumana to take her to Sati Desh, and in Sati Desh she has also stopped at this place. So this place got the name Tikka, which with passage of time changed to Tikker, present name. Now, Kheer Bawani Asthapan Tikker complex. This complex include number first, a temple dedicated to Mata Ragya Kheer Bawani, which exists at the base between two small hillocks, which has a holy spring with a small temple at the center of sacred spring, in which statue of Mata Ragya is installed. The color of sacred water in Kun changes from time to time, giving indications of future happenings in the region. Around this sacred spring, there are small temples of Shiv Parivar, Lord Krishna, and Lord Hanumanji. At one side of this temple is a sacred tree dedicated to Vaskeshwar Bhairav. Small temples dedicated to Bhairav, Hanumanji, and Shani Dev have been constructed by our central forces stationed at this Asthapan after 1990. In August 2021, a scholar from Banaras Hindu University came to this place to have darshan of Bhairav tree, as he has got some reference regarding the Bhairav tree from Yajurveda. In front of this temple, we have a sacred tree dedicated to Pratham Puj Shri Ganesh, a small temple constructed there by the central force stationed at the Asthapan. At hilltop, there is a small temple dedicated to Mata Sharda, which houses a huge shila dedicated to Mata Sharda. Just near the Sharda temple, a kutia of Swami Nandlalji stands, which was constructed in 1957-58. Also, a kutia of Swami Kralbabji stands near the Sharda temple. In addition, two bhavans for yatris, there are barracks for central forces which are stationed there. Presently, the affairs of the Asthapan are looked after by a registered committee under name Kheer Bawani Asthapan Committee Tikker, with full support of CRPF stationed at the Asthapan complex. The Asthapan complex has around 300 canals of hilly land properly fenced by barbed wire. A 3-story Yatri Bhavan and a kitchen complex are presently under construction at this Asthapan. Now, I will give some historical information of Ragya temple. In ancient times, there has been some great rishi named Brangesh Rishi living in Brang area of Kashmir. It is said that he has written a huge granth named Brangesh Samhita, in which he has mentioned about all the sacred places of Kashmir Valley and about pilgrimage of those tirthas. Ragya Pradurabhav is also said to be one of the parts of that Brangesh Samhita. According to Ragya Pradurabhav, in ancient times, a king named Ravana used to rule Lanka in south of India. He was great worshipper of Mata Ragya in the form of Mata Kali. In Lanka, Mata Ragya was named as Mata Shama. When Shri Ram invaded Lanka to bring Mata Sita back, to succeed the battle with Sri Rama, King Ravana offered various types of sacrifices to please Mata Kali and receive blessings to win the battle with Lord Rama. But Mata Ragya, Mata Kali was displeased with inhuman behavior of King Ravana. So instead of blessing, Mata Rani cursed, that is, gave a shap to King Ravana and ordered Lord Hanumanji to carry Mata Rani to Sati Desh. It is said that Lord Hanumanji carried Mata Ragya in the form of sacred gel in a kamandal to Kashyap Desh, also known as Sati Desh. During the journey in Kashyap Desh, it is said that Lord Hanumanji took rest at 5 places. Now here, there is some another view is there that while traveling through the Satidesh, the droplets of sacred gel have dropped at 5 places. This is some another concept given regarding those 5 places. Those 5 places are Manzgam near Kolgam, here is Lokkipora near Mathan, Raithan near Badgam, Tulmula near Srinagar, and Tikker near Kupwara. All these 5 places became sacred Shakti Peeths. In Kashyap Desh, Mata Ragya loved to have bhog of Kheer prepared by cooking rice, milk, and sugar. So, is worshipped as Kheer Bawani. Every year on Zesht Shukla Paksh Ashtami, the annual pilgrimage of these Shakti Peethas is held. This year it is on 8th June. The devotees in thousands visit these Shakti Peeths to receive blessings of Mata Ragya. Now, some historical background of temple Mata Sharda in this complex here. Sharda or Saraswati is the goddess of knowledge. As per mythology and legends, when Samandar Manthan was carried between Devatas and Rakshas in south, the Amrit, which was obtained after Samandar Manthan, was taken by Devatas. The leftover Amrit from Devatas was carried by Mata Sharda from south to Kashyap Desh in a Kalsh. During her travel, Goddess Sharda has a brief stay at a village named Gushi in Kupwara, and on her onward journey, she rested at Tikker on hillock where the present temple stands. From Tikker, Mata Sharda continued the journey via Batpora, Gautamdur, Tehjan, and finally rested at Shardi village on the bank of river Krishna Ganga, where river Madhumati joins it. Ruins of Sharda temple still stand in Shardi village of district Muzaffarabad, now in POK. Now, some facts regarding ups and downs faced by this Asthapan complex and devotees residing in its surroundings. As Kheer Bawani, Asthapan Tikker is a permanent Shakti Peeth with cosmic powers where Jagatamba is omnipresent, blessing the devotees. People from district of Kupwara, Bharamula, and Bandipora in particular, and other districts from other also districts use it to throng the sacred Shakti Peeth, particularly on Zesht Ashtami, which this year falls on 8th June, to obtain blessings of Mata Ragya, commonly known as Kheer Bawani Mela in Kashmir. This Asthapan has remained as center of religious and cultural activities from ancient times. It has also served as base camp for pilgrimage to Sharda Peeth, now in POK, till 1947. So this Asthapan has remained on target of conversion forces also. Earlier, the sacred spring Kund was not of present shape, and there was a mulberry tree on the bank of the sacred spring. The leaves of that tree used to fall in the Kund. There was a committee having members from Tikker village as well as from surrounding villages to look after the affairs of the Asthapan, arrange religious activities, cultural activities, as well as the facilities for yatris who used to have pilgrimage to Sharda Peeth. Some members of the committee suggested to cut down the mulberry tree standing on the brink of the sacred kund, as the leaves used to make sacred water of the kund dirty. Some elders opposed the suggestion, but by majority vote, the decision was taken to cut down the mulberry tree. After cutting down a tragic incident occurred. All the members who took active part in cutting the tree left the world within a span of 2 or 3 months. This sent shock waves all around. To get pardon, a havan was performed by whole community. Up to 1915, there was no dharamshala for accommodating the yatris at this Asthapan. The local Hindu families residing just outside the Asthapan used to welcome the yatris with their open arms. Even some yatris used to stay at houses of Hindus living in surrounding villages. In general, the houses of local Hindus were just like ashrams of Grihasti saints. The saints who used to have pilgrimage of Sharda Peeth also used to have darshan at this sacred Asthapan and stay in the house of any local Hindu just residing outside the Asthapan to prepare themselves for onward journey. Swami Lalji, Guru of Swami and Lalji, also used to have pilgrimage of Sharda Peeth and stay at Tikker to take rest before onward journey. In 1915, a devastating fire destroyed the residential houses of all Hindus. Being God-fearing, they thought that something has went wrong, thus Jagatamba has punished for the same. Due to this reason, the local Hindu families constructed their houses at some distance away from Asthapan. Now, whenever any yatri or saint used to visit the sacred Asthapan, he used to face difficulty in locating the Hindu families where they can sit and rest in order to get ready for further journey. Swami Lalji also reached Asthapan, and after having darshan of sacred kund, reached the location where Hindu families used to live before unfortunate fire. He was just standing and looking around. Two children of age around 15 years playing with other children approached Swamiji. Swamiji inquired about the location of Hindu families. Then the two children accompanied Swamiji to the residence of Shri Misharna Trakru, a resident of village Tikker. The two children were Shri Radhakshan Trakru and Shri Jialal Pesha. Later, two sons of Misharna Trakru, Shri Jankinath Trakru and Shri Radhakshan Trakru, became the staunch disciples of Swami Lalji. It is said that once Mata Sharda appeared in dreams of saint named Swami Balakavji, who was putting up at Sharda Peeth, now in POK, and directed him to shift to base camp Tikker to make arrangements for yatris at the base camp. Mata Rani has directed Swami Balakavji to stay at house of Shri Totramji at Tikker. Swamiji followed the directions and reached Tikker in 1929. At Tikker, he stayed at the residence of Shri Totramji when Hindus of Tikker and surrounding villages came to know about purpose of for which Swami Balakavji has reached this sacred Asthapan. They became his followers. Swamiji also visited surrounding villages like Gushi, where he used to stay at the house of Kantram and Sri Jagannathji. At Karihama, Swamiji used to stay at the house of Sri Srikantji. Under the guidance of Swami Balakavji and able committee headed by Sri Misharna Trakru, a double-storied wooden dharmshala was constructed at the Asthapan just near the present main gate. In order to fulfill the need of drinking water, a deep well was dug which exists presently on left side main entry of the Asthapan. Another deep well was dug near the residence of Hindu families. The sacred spring was given a proper shape under the guidance of Swami Balakavji, and a rectangular kund was constructed in which water flowing from the forest area was stored to provide bathing facilities to the yatris. Swami Balakavji also encouraged local Hindu population to cultivate the land surrounding the temple, produce vegetables, etc., to cater the needs of the yatris. Swami Balakavji also it is said that the Sharda temple at hilltop was having a fine architecture and was visible from distant places around. Swami Balakavji also installed a Shila having mantras carved in Sharda script on the original Shila present in the temple, in such a manner that whatever jal or milk the devotees used to offer on that Shila reached the original Shila. In early 1947, Swamiji was in deep samadhi at residence of Sri Toramji. He suddenly opened his eyes and told the people present there that the mountain of Kazinag, there is a high mountain peak in the area that is named as, in Kashmiri we call it a Kajnag. And he spoke to the audience present there that this high mountain peak is going to collapse, indicating some deep trouble to the region. This indication by Swami Balakavji showed its results in October 1947, when Kabaili, supported by Pakistani forces and conversion agencies, raided Kashmir. Hindu community fled to the safer areas like Sopore, Srinagar to save their lives, but Tikkarwasis stayed back. A huge mob from surrounding villages belonging to the majority community attacked the Hindus of Tikker village and pressurized for conversion to Islam. Although there were some majority community, from majority community who opposed it, but were outnumbered by supporters of conversion. Some neighbors even provided shelter in their houses. The situation became worrisome when some goons from the mob incited the mob for performing nikah, marriage of Hindu women with Muslim men. The Hindu community of Tikker then decided to take a drastic step to go for mass immolation of young women folk and get themselves killed after fighting with raiders. Young women folk were locked in a wooden building so that as the mob will attack, the building can be put to fire. The message of this drastic decision taken by Hindu community reached some elders of Muslim community, so they persuaded the mob to let the Hindu community to leave from village Tikker to some safer places. Thus, a safe passage was provided to safer areas as there were no means of transport, so only young men, women, and children were shifted to Sopore and Srinagar, while the elders continued to stay at Tikker. On 8th February 1948, again a mob led by armed Kabylis attacked Tikker, Gushi, and other surrounding areas. At Tikker, they brutally shot dead some Kashmiri Hindus. The names of some martyrs are Aftaram, son of Ganesh Das, Radhamali, wife of Aftabram, Shankar Chand, son of Ganesh Das, Prasvinath, son of Aftabram, Anandram, son of Zanardan, Jialal, son of Vishnu Kachu, Sudarshan, son of Gashram, Shivji, son of Gashram, Ramju, son of Shodar Pandit. However, some persons managed to escape. Ramju also tried to escape but was captured again at a place near Kupwara, and that place is named as Surfkol in Kashmir, and his both legs and both arms were chopped off and left to die in chilly weather. As the weather was very cold, he survived for 2 or 3 days only. No cremation of these martyrs, as per our rituals, was possible as nobody was alive left in the village. At same time, the Asthapan complex was attacked and all the structures were razed to ashes. When the temple of Ma Sharda at Hilltop was set on fire by the mob, the Shilla, having mantras carved in Sharda Lipi, got burst with a big bang. So the mob got frightened and ran away. The land around the temple was also occupied by Muslims from surrounding villages. All the household items were looted by the mobs. When our brave Central Army hounded the Pakistani invaders back to Pakistan, the Kashmiri Hindus also started to return to their homes. Swami Balak Kakji and Hindus of Tikker and surrounding villages also returned to their native places in 1949. That means after 2 years. As Swami Balak Kakji saw the destruction of Asthapan, he was very much depressed, so he decided to stay at house of one of his disciples at Karihama named Shri Kanji. The Kashmiri Hindus of Tikker were highly perturbed after seeing the illegal occupation of the land surrounding the Asthapan and decided to remove the encroachment at any cost. Some brave soldiers of the community under leadership of Shri Jalal destroyed whole standing crop of encroachers during one night. Next day, a fight started between Hindu volunteers and the encroachers. The matter turned very serious, so an official named Muhammad Akbar Sofi reached the spot and heard both the sides. The matter was decided in favor of the Hindus. The Hindus thus the Hindus of Tikker, supported by Hindus from surrounding villages, reoccupied the land of Asthapan in early 1950. A saint named Mahant Raghavanand reached Tikker, Asthapan, who was a scholar of Vedas and Ayurveda. He stayed at this Asthapan up to 1955. Here, I want to give some that Swami Balakabji, who was from 1929 up to 1949 at this Asthapan, he attained moksha in 1949 at the house of Shri Karji at Karihama. So, due to this, the local Hindus of the area, they got some depressed, but due to blessings of Mata Ragya, Mahant Raghavanand ji reached Tikker Asthapan, who was a scholar of Vedas and Ayurveda. He stayed at this Asthapan up to 1955, and under his supervision, a double-story dharamshala was constructed for stay of yatris. Two more saints also used to be at this Asthapan named Chhagan Baba and Swami Gradpabji. A new small temple was also built at hilltop dedicated to Mata Sharda because the original temple was destroyed in fire during Kabaili raid. Swami Nandlalji, who used to stay at Sharda Peeth in Shardi village, also left that village after the Kabaili raids, the sacred peeth, in 1947-48. After returning from that peeth, he stayed for some brief period at the house of Sri Dinanathji at Tikker and then went to Sopur. His guru Swami Lalji obtained Nirvan in 1949. Swami Nandlalji performed 13th day of Swami Lalji at some temple in Sopur. From 1950 to 1955, Swami Nandlalji used to perform annual yigya at Sogam or Tekipura on the Nirvan Divas of Swami Lalji. In 1956, the disciples of Swami Nandlalji requested Swami Nandlalji to perform the Havan in connection with Nirvan Divas of Shri, his Guru at Tikker, because it has remained as center for all religious and cultural activities from ancient times, which he agreed, and from 1956 to 1990, this Havan was performed at Kheer Bawani Asthapan Tikker at every Krishna Paksh Tritiya of lunar calendar month Shravan. All the devotees of Mata Ragya of Tikker and surrounding villages used to provide full support for performing the Havan. In 1957-58, construction of a kutia was started at hilltop near Sharda temple as desired by Swami Nandlalji. When the earth was being dug for making foundation of the kutia, four things appeared, that is chillam, that means which is used to smoke, chimta, manan is a pot, fire pot, and a small shivlinga from that place. A disciple was sitting there And after seeing these four the things, he was puzzled. Swamiji looked at him and narrated some couplet in Kashmiri. Here the couplet is in Kashmiri. Ha nerlangyo kyaji chuk haran yaht jai chupith kum khazan. Meaning, why is Niranjana so puzzled? There are numerous treasures hidden at this place. During same period, Shri Masharna Trakru passed the batons of leading Tikker Baradi to Jialalji. A development committee for Asthapan under leadership of Jialalji and Shri Jagannathji of Gushi, having members from Tikker and surrounding villages, was formed. People from every nook and corner used to visit this Asthapan to receive blessings of Mata Ragya, Mata Sharda, and Swami Nandlalji. As there was less accommodation available in the Asthapan for yatris who desired to stay for some period at this Asthapan, so male yatris used to stay at the Asthapan, while female yatris, along with their children, were directed by Swami Ji to stay at the residence of Srimati Rajrani, a staunch disciple of Swami Nandlalji, during night. The main disciple of Swami Nandlalji, that is Swami Vibhishan Ji, Swami Kralbab Ji, Swami Mastbab Ji, used to stay at this Asthapan to serve Swami Ji and the yatris in addition to their tapasya. All the three disciples who got success in achieving their goals at this sacred Shakti Peeth. The other disciples who used to visit the sacred Asthapan at regular intervals include Swami Shamlal Ji, also known as Swami Boitod Ji, Swami Sadbab Ji. Swami Nandlalji's disciples were separate over whole Kashmir Valley, because Swamiji used to visit every city, every town, and every village of Kashmir. Even his disciples were from other parts of the country. During the period of Swami Nandlalji at Asthapan, every year a Sant Sammelan used to be held, in which three great saints of that time, that is Swami Nandlalji himself, Swami Aftabji Bhaskar, a great scholar of Sanskrit, and Swami Tirath Prakashgiri Chandigam Babaji, a scholar of Ayurveda and Yoga, used to bless the audience with their darshan and religious knowledge. Swami Nandlalji obtained moksha on 1st February 1968 at Delhi. Some disciple of Swamiji had donated a cow to Swamiji, which was kept at the house of Srimati Rajrani Ji of Tikker. On 31st January, the cow suddenly stopped to eat grass and drink water, but was only shedding tears. Different experts were consulted, but of no use. Next day, when the news of Swamiji's attaining moksha was announced on radio, because there were not telephonic or my mobile at that time, so the main means of this communication was radio. So when this was announced on radio and Srimati Rajrani Ji started to have fast because she was a disciple of Swamiji, then cow started to eat grass. It was the day of Gauri Tritya, so every year on Gauri Tritya, a Havan was performed at Asthapan Tikker continuously from 1969 to 1990. After Nirvan of Swami Nandlalji, Swami Baitodji, Swami Kralbhavji used to stay at Tikker Asthapan while Swami Vibhishanji took charge of Hushru ashram of Swami Nandlalji. Under guidance of Swami Baitodji and Swami Kralbhavji, development of Tikker Asthapan continued, and two bhavans, a kitchen and a dining hall were constructed for accommodation of yatris. Car sevaks from Sopor, Bharamula, Handwara, surrounding village used to contribute physically as well as monetarily for this sacred work. Particularly on Sunday, these car sevaks used to provide their physical contribution. Residents of Tikker used to provide their services regularly at this sacred Asthapan. Though everyone from Tikker was a dedicated Karyakarta of this Asthapan, but the contribution of three persons of Shri named Shri Dinanath Bhatt, Shri Radhakrishan Trakru, and Shri Jayalal Peshin can never be ignored. They used to manage all the affairs of Asthapan very efficiently with smiling faces. I pay my naman to all the three devotees. Shri O.N. Thusu, who was a staunch disciple of Swami Baitodji, used to provide technical support as well as monetary support for construction. Up to 1972, there was no temple which is presently at the center of the sacred Kund. In 1972, a plan was proposed to renovate the Mata Ragya temple to increase the space around the sacred spring under guidance of Swami Baitodji and Swami Kralbhavji Maharaj. A small temple was also constructed at the center of sacred spring, and a statue of Mata Ragya was installed. A grand havan was arranged, and a number of priests from Kashi chanted Vedic mantras while installing the statue of Mata Rani. An army contingent from nearby army unit gave full dress salute at the time of installation. Thousands of devotees took part in the function and received blessings of Mata Ragya. The function was held on 19th November 1972. This process of development of the sacred Asthapan continued up to 1990. There was a youth wing of this Asthapan that was named as Bal Sabha. And that Bal Sabha used to maintain a library of religious books, organize cultural activities, and there were classes held for teaching this Bhagavad Gita. Two persons who were having good knowledge of Sanskrit, Shri Prakash Ramji of Batragam and Shri Ratana Trakru, used to teach Srimad Bhagavad Gita to the children in the library room named Sharda Vidya Peeth. In 1989-90, again, genocide of Kashmiri Hindus by jihadi elements took place. Residential houses of all Hindu families of Tikker and surrounding villages were razed to ashes by Dehshatgards, but the Asthapan complex remained safe due to presence of Central Security Forces. Central Security Forces stationed at Asthapan maintained the sanctity of this Asthapan and received blessings of Mata Ragya and Mata Sharda. The managing committee headed by Shri Jialalji remained in contact with security forces stationed at Asthapan. Shri Jialalji, due to his old age, passed the batons of head of committee to Shri Jial Bhatt, who continued the process of development of Asthapan, a dedicated and a blessed team got the whole area around the Asthapan fenced by using barbed wire and iron pillars because the old fencing was on wooden pillars which got damaged with time. They initiated the process to register the committee with government, and the management of Asthapan complex is a registered committee under the head and style of Mata Kheer Bawani Asthapan Committee Tikker. By using democratical methods, members of registered committee are elected. Earlier, a dedicated team headed by A.K. Bhatt contributed for the development of this Asthapan, and presently another team headed by Sri M.L. Padru is providing their services for development of this Asthapan with support of every devotee of Mata Ragya, Mata Sharda, and disciples of Swami Nandlalji, Swami Baitodji, Swami Kralbabji, and Swami Kumarji. Presently, a 3-storied bhavan and a kitchen complex are under process of completion. Some barracks for accommodation of security forces have also been constructed by different agencies. The security forces stationed at Asthapan complex are providing full support to the management committee for developmental works in addition to providing security to the Asthapan. Prasad in the form of Kheer is being provided to the devotees using to have darshan of Mata Ragya every day by the security forces stationed there. Last, I will say, may Mata Ragya and Mata Sharda keep blessing all the devotees, all the central forces stationed there. Jai Mata Di.
Thank you, Raina ji. Let's see if you could play your video. You sent me some videos. We'll try to see whether that works.
कृपा है जो हम सोच रहे थे
You can talk about it later.
कम होगी, ऐसा हुआ नहीं। माँ ने सबको बुलाया है, माँ की कृपा सब पर हो रही है। आप देख सकते हैं ये बिल्कुल नीचे गेट तक लाइन लगी है। ये मिडिल है, इससे पहले कम से कम 300 लोगों ने खाना खा लिया है। अभी चल रहा है, ये भी मिडिल में है। ये अंदर हॉल में जहाँ पर प्रसाद का वितरण हो रहा है, लोग ले रहे हैं। करते हैं, देश की रक्षा में लगे हैं। हमारा सौभाग्य है ये मुस्तकिल प्रसाद ले रहे हैं। माँ खीर भवानी की इन पर कृपा है।
दाल 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 दाल
आप देख सकते हैं।
आपने अखरोट पकड़ा दी थी मेरे पास।
जय शारदे, जय स्वामी लाल जी, जय स्वामी नंदलाल जी, स्वामी कराल बाबू, सभी गुरुजन सबों को नमस्कार। और इस समय मैं माता खीर भवानी के भवन के बिल्कुल सामने यहाँ से एक छोटा सा वीडियो आपको दर्शन, जिसके माध्यम से मैं आपको माता के दर्शन कराने की कोशिश करूँगा। जय माता, हर हर जय माता, जय माँ खीर भवानी, जय माँ खीर भवानी। आज यहाँ बहुत ही मनोरम मौसम है, खुला मौसम है, माता की कृपा है, धूप खिली हुई है और माता का चेहरा भी खिला हुआ है। पूरी कोशिश करूँगा माता खीर भवानी का चेहरा, माता का चेहरा आपको दिखाऊं। ये देखिए, सबसे पहले अमृत कुंड, शुरुआत यहीं से कर रहा हूँ। बहुत कुछ अपने आप में कह रहा है, मानो ऐसा लग रहा है कि बहुत कुछ अच्छा होने वाला है जो हम शायद एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं। ऐसा वातावरण है, ऐसा मौसम है यहाँ पर, और ऐसा माता का कुंड हमें, मैं तो अपने आप का कहना, मुझे संकेत दे रहा है कि कुछ अच्छा होने वाला है। अब हम माता के बिल्कुल अंदर गर्भगृह की ओर, ये पंडित जी, राम राम पंडित जी, जय माता दी पंडित जी,
जय माता दी, जय माता।
ये कर लीजिए माता के शुभ दर्शन, माँ का हंसता हुआ चेहरा, कृपा निदान हम सब पर कृपा करें और खुशियाँ हम सबके झोलियों में खुशियाँ बांट दें। इसी के साथ मैं पीछे चलता हुआ, जय माता दी। मन किया, आज मौसम अच्छा लग रहा था कि आपको दर्शन कराऊं, मनोरम दर्शन कराऊं एक छोटे से वीडियो के माध्यम से। जय माता दी।
Thank you, Raina ji. Now, these two temples, the temple that you have seen, and also the one in Tulamula, they're all rebuilt temples, right? Not the originals.
These are 5 places in
Yes, you
Kashmir.
mentioned.
Yeah, there are 5. These are 5 places which are these 5 Shakti Pithas, and Tulmula is one among them. Tikker is one among them. Raithan in Badagam, it is one among them. Lokkipora, that is it near Mutton, and similarly there is in Manzgam.
How far is Tulamula and the other one, the Tikker village, that Kupwara you talked about? They're far away, these two?
They are at least maybe 120 kilometers away. Yeah.
Okay. Because I remember going to
From
Tulamula,
Srinagar,
where I
Srinagar,
saw.
Tikker is 90 kilometers away. And from Srinagar, Tulumala is almost, I think it is 30 or 35 kilometers away.
So when pilgrims come for the Jeshashtami, which is going to be on June 8th this year, so
Yes,
will they visit all the temples, or I saw maximum on Tulamula congregation?
Basically, there is that before 1947, the area that is Tikker area and the Sharda Peer, this was having high, this because of the pilgrimage of Sharda Peetha. This was the central place. Later on, after 1947, since the pilgrimage to Sharda Peeth stopped, so most of the people, maximum people, they lived in Srinagar. There's the area village from Hindus from village also they shifted to Srinagar. So the most population lived in Srinagar. So they used to go Tulmula. But on this date, Jeshta Ashtami, the Hindus from district, it is Kupwara, Baramulla, and Bandipora. It was first up to 1940. It is, I think, up to 80. It was only one district, Baramulla, which has been divided into three districts. It is 1/3 of the Hindu population living in these three districts, which is generally used to visit Tikker, Kheer, Bawani, Asthapan, Tikker.
So how do people manage now with so much happening now, the activities? People from all over the world come. I've seen that in Tulamula. Now with the current scenario, this will continue even this year in June 8th. Where will people stay?
Our team is presently, the managing committee is present at Tikker. They are doing the arrangements for the yatris at that place. You have seen the video last year. It is 2021. The yatris were taking langar, and there were thousands present there because last year it was COVID. So
yes, 2 years.
Yes. So still, thousands of people they reached Kheer Bawani Tikker and have blessings of Mata Rakya. This year also, our team is there. We have constructed a bhavan which has one hall. It is 32 feet by 70 feet at the ground. First floor, there is again another hall that is 32 by 70 feet. And in third floor, we have 8 rooms constructed. We have also langar complex here, which has at the ground floor we have langar, and 2 stories above that has rooms. There are buildings, there are barracks available. So there nothing is there will be no shortage of pilgrims can go and they can be accommodated easily. We have got the security forces there. They also arrange. So, for example, we need bedding. If we will get thousands of people, it is not possible to provide bedding for all those. But our security forces, this station there are army camps surrounding. They also provide the beddings for the yatris on that day.
No, at some point in your presentation, you mentioned that the Muslim elders advised them not to do. Why is that not happening now? Why people, the local residents, even the Muslim residents, why they're not coming out? We keep reading every day in the press. Why people are not coming out in support? I also read every time asking Kashmiri Pandits to return to the valley and all that. But I don't see any Muslims coming out protesting this, all these killings, and why?
Basically, the older people, they were, we can say, dedicated towards the Sufism. Now, today it is not so. This Wahhabism has entered the minds of all the young generation. So that is the reason behind it. They do not come out in support of this. So
because these are all very important festivals, right? These are all happening every year, and wants to go and then
Muslims also used to take part in this festival. They used to take part in this festival.
No, I have seen that in Tulamula. I have seen Muslims participate, and that's what I'm saying. Why
everywhere it is there. Their participation, they took part in it. It is not only in Tulamula. In Tikker, they come there in hundreds. In other places, they come there in hundreds. For example, we need milk. Who brings that? They bring that. They set the markets there. They open these, we can say, shops in small tents to provide the facilities to the yatris.
So with what we read in the press now, every week there is something happening that will deter people performing this pilgrimage or undertake all this in months to come. Is terrorism, right? What is happening?
See, it is what I have faced in 90. Everybody is want to save his life. So today, present condition is such that we do not know who is having a gun in his pocket, because the guns have become so small that you can keep it in your a small pocket.
And it's impossible to give security to every individual also, right?
Yes, that is possible. That is the case. Now it is not possible to provide security to every individual. That is why people are sacred of soul. They do not want to live there. Secondly, there are different, say, we can say, one is the what we have faced because of Pakistan. Second is there is another terrorism, that is administrative terrorism. For example, if we will take my village Tikker, for which I talked, we were 21 having 21 buildings there. Almost all the buildings were of 3 stories. How these all the 21 buildings caught fire at same time? Nobody investigated that, and all the buildings were locked because we have already left that place. So all the buildings were locked, and all the 21 buildings caught fire at same spot, same time. The fire service failed in that case. So no investigation was done. Killings took place, no investigation was done. Our land, precious land, there, since the deputy commissioners of every district was made the custodian of our land, our property. And in our case, that deputy commissioner, this sold our land without our consent and allotted it to different departments. So leaving no space for us to live there again. So that is, we can say, it is called administrative terrorism. It has to be
administrative terrorism.
Yes.
I'm sure people are all watching this, and we are creating awareness not just for cultural heritage, creating awareness of what is happening now and why people can't just return just like that. So hopefully this will be resolved, and I'm sure everyone is watching and trying to take some action. And hopefully we would like to conduct one awareness program from Kashmir during these festivities.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll do that. Thank you very much for joining us today and making the presentation on Kheer Bawani temple. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you. We will conclude our program today. It's more than 1 hour today. We request you all to join every Saturday, 7 to 8 p.m. Next week, it's going to be an interesting temple tour that is going to be conducted by Dr. Nagaswamy, archaeologist, who inaugurated our program on August 15th. That will be very interesting, and you will get to cover most of the temples in Kashmir. Please do join us. We always thank Kanji Mutt and Kanji Mutt channels, YouTube and Facebook, for streaming, and also VDSP. Finally, We always thank Dinamalar, India's only leading Tamil newspaper, for covering our Saturday weekly series every week. They carry an article about our program and give a detailed description. Please stay tuned and join us next week. Haragara Shankara, Jai Jai Shankara.